The inner decision. When faith becomes identity, what if everything that ever happened to you, every failure, delay, disappointment, or loss, was in fact a perfectly placed step on your divine path? What if what you call resistance, the world calls rejection, and the mind calls fear, was actually the raw material for your ultimate transformation? You see, there is a moment, a sacred inner moment, when a man no longer waits to be ready. He no longer checks the weather of opinions. He no longer negotiates with doubt. In that moment, he acts as if everything already works out because something deeper than sight tells him it does. So let me ask you, have you ever wondered what it really means to believe before you see? Have you ever felt like you were waiting on a sign when maybe, just maybe, the sign was waiting on you? The truth? The most powerful decisions are never visible. They are silent, internal, invisible to the world, but revolutionary to the soul. And once made, they shift everything. The decision that rewires reality. This isn't about pretending. It's not about saying positive words while secretly drowning in disbelief. It's about deciding so deeply, so completely, that your nervous system begins to align with your destiny before it's even visible. Most people misunderstand acting as if. They think it's fake, a costume, a lie. But real acting as if is not acting, it is activating. It is tuning your behavior, your thoughts, your posture, your expectations to a version of reality that you've chosen before it arrives. You become the kind of person who expects miracles, not because you're naive, but because you know that every invisible victory begins in the mind. And that decision changes you. Belief before evidence. Andrew Carnegie said it clearly. You must believe that you will receive before you do. This was not philosophy to him. It was protocol. A law of the inner world. The greatest architects of history built empires not because they had the clearest vision, but because they believed before they had any evidence. They practiced the art of seeing with no proof, not because they were delusional, but because they understood that belief precedes the breakthrough. Every time you decide to act as if, you're training your brain to abandon fear and embrace faith. You're no longer reacting to life. You're commanding it. Invisible habits of the unshakable. Those who act as if don't wait for energy, they generate it. They don't seek permission, they move first. They don't need applause, they know where they're going. They walk into rooms like they belong there, not out of arrogance, but because they made an inner contract that says, I will not be moved by appearances. I will move appearances with presence. They understand something simple. Confidence is not the absence of doubt. It is the refusal to obey it. And so they build invisible habits. Habits of presence. Habits of repetition. Habits of certainty. Because they understand that the version of them they're becoming is already alive. It just needs a signal, a pattern, a posture, a decision. The silent contract. There comes a moment when you stop waiting for validation. You stop auditioning for life. You write a silent contract between you and your creator. And the contract says, I will act as if everything works out because everything that truly matters already has. This isn't denial of reality. It's dominion over reality. It is to stand in the middle of contradiction and declare, this too is working for my good. And you don't just say it, you live it. You walk with your shoulders square, your breath steady, and your thoughts aligned. Because when you sign that inner contract, the old version of you doesn't just fade. It burns. When you decide, life responds. The universe does not respond to confusion. It mirrors clarity. It echoes decisiveness. Every time you hesitate, life does too. But when you decide, when you move in certainty, doors appear that weren't even visible before. Not because they suddenly existed, but because you finally tuned yourself to the frequency that opens them. So stop asking if it's working. Act as if it is. Stop checking the soil every morning for the seed you planted last night. Water it. Trust it. Act like it's already growing. Because it is. You become what you repeat. Do not underestimate the quiet power of repetition. The man who becomes unstoppable is not the one who gets inspired once. It's the one who reprograms himself daily. He repeats the truth until the lie dies. He speaks life into his own spirit until his actions catch up. He trains his nervous system to normalize abundance, to expect peace, to move with purpose. Charles Schwab wasn't lucky when he attracted Carnegie's attention. He was ready. And readiness is not an accident. It is a habit. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you are. And what you are is what you repeatedly decide to be. The new identity is a practice. This isn't about pretending to be someone you're not. It's about choosing who you're becoming and practicing it with conviction. You dress like him, speak like him, wake up like him, think like him, lead like him. Until one day, you are him. You no longer have to act as if, because it's no longer an act. It's just you, undeniable, unwavering, unstoppable. Faith is a muscle. Understand this? Faith isn't a feeling. Faith is a muscle. It grows with resistance. The more you act in faith, the more it expands. The more you move despite fear, the more fear loses its grip. The more you declare that life is happening for you, the more you experience it that way. So yes, act as if. Act as if you are already equipped, as if the storm is already passing, as if the breakthrough is already happening behind the scenes. Because it is. Because you decided it is. This is where you begin. You want to change your life, change your posture. You want to shift your results, shift your response. You want to walk into a new season? Then walk as if you already belong there. The man who acts as if everything always works out is not pretending. He's aligning. He's remembering. He's becoming. And that is the beginning of all greatness. Claro, Caio. Aquí está a parte. Tu do roteiro final, seguindo fielmente o estilo inspirado con Napoleon Hill, com linguagem acessível, narrativa profunda e envolvente, sem repetixes, e mantendo a construca criativa e coesa como part 1. The cost of aliging the quiet. Spaces where the world no longer applauds your every move, a deeper voice begins to rise. It's not the voice of external recognition, but the internal whisper of alignment. Real alignment between thought and action, belief and behavior isn't glamorous. It's not easy. It's not loud. It's costly. Because to be truly aligned, you'll have to let go of everything that once gave you comfort, including the versions of yourself that no longer serve your purpose. You can't fake alignment, and you can't buy it. You earn it in silence through self-discipline, repetition, and resilience. It's not found in motivation videos or morning routines, but in how you show up when nobody is watching. It's not in what you say, it's in what you consistently do. Repetition. The architect of identity. Do something once, and it's an action. Do it 100 times, and it's who you are. Repetition is the forge. Through it, thoughts become habits. Habits become character. Character becomes destiny. Repetition isn't just about building skill. It's about embedding identity. And what most people never understand is that mastery isn't built by extraordinary moments, but by ordinary repetition, done with unwavering intention. You don't repeat for perfection. You repeat to become. When you repeat a truth long enough, it begins to echo through every corner of your life. This is why what you feed your mind matters more than any external circumstance. You're either repeating patterns that shrink you, or programming convictions that sculpt the person you're destined to be. Discipline is your silent weapon. Discipline isn't about rules. It's not about control. It's not the prison It's a promise. A promise to your future self that you're no longer going to sabotage who you are for momentary comfort. When you operate with discipline, you begin to protect your energy instead of reacting emotionally. You choose peace over impulse. You choose creation over distraction. And most importantly, you choose mission over mood. Your discipline doesn't scream. It doesn't need attention. It operates in the shadows while the undisciplined chase validation. But while they burn out, you build. While they rest on potential, you compound your progress. Discipline isn't flashy, but it's undefeated. Emotional maturity, the great differentiator. There comes a time when the greatest flex isn't how loud you can be, but how calm you remain. Emotional control is the superpower of those who refuse to let the external dictate the internal. And here's the truth. You can't fake inner peace. People feel your energy before they hear your words. And if your energy is rooted in reaction, not creation, you'll always be a servant to chaos. The strongest people don't retaliate. They redirect. They know that wasting energy on proving a point costs them focus, and focus is their currency. Have to reach a point where your peace is non-negotiable, where you don't enter rooms to be understood. You enter to observe, to plant, to grow. You don't argue with people operating on a frequency beneath your purpose. You just outlast them. In silence. Identity is not found. It's forged. Your identity isn't something you stumble upon. It's something you hammer into existence. Most people think they have to discover who they are, as if it's hidden under a rock. But identity is born through your daily choices. It's not found, it's forged. Every decision you make is a vote for the type of person you're becoming. And with enough votes, a new identity takes root. The moment you start acting like the person you're becoming, not the person you've been, everything changes. Stop waiting to feel worthy. Worthiness is built through alignment. You become worthy by doing the work consistently, by honoring your word when no one else is holding you accountable, by showing up, not to impress, but to progress. The cost of integrity do you want? To know what separates the few who actually change from the masses who just talk about change. It's integrity. Not integrity as in, don't lie, but integrity as in, do your actions reflect your vision, your values, and your vow to your future? To become who you were born to be, you'll have to betray who you were trained to be. You'll lose people, you'll lose patterns. You'll even grieve parts of yourself. That's the price, but what you gain is freedom, clarity, power. Most people won't pay the price because the cost of shedding their old self feels like death. But the few who do, they rise, not because they're better, but because they had the courage to let go of what was. Never them to begin with. Becoming the watchman at some point, you must graduate from being a passive participant in life to becoming the watchman of your own soul. That means watching your thoughts before they become beliefs. Watching your words before they become your reality. Watching your energy before it's drained by people who don't deserve access to it. You become the gatekeeper. Not everything gets in. Not every opinion is allowed to shape you. Not every invitation deserves your attention. You operate with strategic stillness, calculated calm. Because now, you're not reacting to life, you're architecting it. You're building in silence. And that's the point. This part of your journey won't be celebrated. It won't be understood. People will question your distance. They'll mock your new standards. They'll resist your shift, not because it's wrong, but because it reminds them of the work they're avoiding. But remember this, the deeper your roots, the taller your tree. You're not in hiding, you're in construction. You're not avoiding people. You're becoming the person who no longer needs to be validated by them. And when you rise, you'll rise differently, not to prove anything, but because you refuse to settle. Final reminder, don't stop now, This isn't the time to back off. This isn't the time to doubt. You've already seen too much, grown too far, shed too much skin to go back now. Keep repeating. Keep showing up. Keep choosing what aligns with your vision, not your feelings. Because who you're becoming isn't waiting in the distance. He's watching every move you make today. Pe co disculpus. Kaio. Vu enviar agora has parts 3 e 4 completus durutero. Como mesmo cuidado para manter originalidade. Fluidez y estilo, inspirado in Napoleon Hill. The power of decisiveness and repetition. Fear thrives in indecision. A man who delays or avoids making firm choices is like a rudderless ship, aimlessly drifting with the currents of doubt and opinion. His energy scatters, his will weakens, and his potential dissolves into hesitation. Henry Ford once faced immense skepticism when he vowed to build an affordable automobile for the common man. Engineers called his vision impossible, laughed at his ideas. Yet Ford's resolve never faltered. He commanded production persistently, refusing to accept failure as final. Produce it anyway, he declared, transforming impossibility into reality. By sheer decisiveness. This kind of unwavering commitment bends reality. When was the last time you made a decision so firm it shaped your world? Many hesitate, leaving a back door open to retreat. Fear lives in that open door, feeding off uncertainty. Decisiveness is not about always being right, but about fully committing to a path. The universe favors those who move with conviction. The greatest minds, Ford, Edison, Carnegie, Schwab, acted immediately once they decided, never looking back. Edison endured over 10,000 attempts to invent the electric light. Each failure was a conscious choice to try again, a decisive blow against doubt. He didn't ask for permission or public approval. He decided, acted, and forced the world to accept his truth. Decision creates momentum, clarity, and identity. A man who defines who he is and lives accordingly becomes immune to fear's control. Fear may linger, but it no longer directs his steps. His choice is a fortress. Charles Schwab rose not by endless debate, but by swift, resolute action. Carnegie trusted him because Schwab moved while others stalled. What decisions have you postponed? What truths have you avoided? Indecision slowly kills your destiny, allowing fear to carve away your potential. One hesitation at a time. Declare now, I decide quickly. I act without apology. My word is final because I trust myself. Repeat this often until it replaces doubt with leadership. Each hesitation teaches your subconscious to distrust your will. Every deliberate action trains it to say, this man means what he says. That training builds self-command and banishes fear. From this moment on, you are no longer a man who waits. You are a man who chooses. Even in uncertainty, even when others falter, you lead. The architect does not ask bricks for permission. He lays them firmly. Fear is a habit, born of repeated thought, installed over years. Like any habit, it can be rewired if you apply stronger repetition towards strength and certainty. Repetition is the chisel of the mind, not mindless words, but disciplined acts of thought, posture, and behavior that shatter old patterns and build new ones. Andrew Carnegie rose from poverty by repeating his definite aim aloud every morning, until his mind rejected doubt. He declared, I am building a man worthy of a fortune, shifting his identity from lack to abundance. Thomas Edison rehearsed success relentlessly, refusing to acknowledge failure. Each day, he entered his lab certain of progress, regardless of yesterday's setbacks. Repetition reshapes your subconscious, carving grooves for certainty and leaving no room for fear. This was Henry Ford's secret, a mental factory producing unwavering conviction where failure had no place. Ford didn't fear the unknown. He assumed clarity would come, And it did, repeatedly. Now ask yourself, what do you rehearse daily? If your internal dialogue is soaked in fear and doubt, you program failure. If it's rooted in courage and certainty, you forge a fearless identity. Mastery over fear. Final declaration and spiritual rebirth. Now that you understand how fear is formed, maintained, and defeated, it's time for the ultimate step. Mastery. Fear is not a force outside you. It is a mental habit, an echo of past programming. To master fear, you must become the master of your mind. Begin each day with a ritual. A clear statement of your purpose, spoken with conviction. Visualize yourself already victorious. Vow silently. I do not flinch. I do not fold. I do not entertain fear. This triad purpose, visualization, and vow reprograms your subconscious, building a fortress around your soul. The mind obeys. Repetition imbued with faith and emotion. Understand faith as a discipline, not blind hope. Faith bridges thought and reality, strengthening you against every storm. It is earned daily through decisions, actions, and unwavering focus. Remember Andrew Carnegie's rise, not through luck, but through faith in a vision he never abandoned. Abraham Lincoln held to the mission of union and liberty amid war and division. Their purpose shielded them from fear's attack. Now, you must craft your own defining purpose. Not vague dreams or fleeting desires, but a fiery sentence that anchors your life. Write it, speak it, memorize it. Let it echo as your last thought before sleep and first breath at dawn. Fear may knock, but you will be too busy executing to answer. Indecision breeds fear. Decisiveness kills it. When you hesitate, you teach your mind to doubt. When you decide and act, you prove to yourself that you are trustworthy. You are no longer a victim of fear, but its conqueror. Your mind becomes a fortress where fear cannot enter. Today marks your rebirth. The moment you reject fear's dominion and assume control, stand taller than your doubts. Speak louder than your anxieties. You are the commander of your destiny. Fear will whisper, but your faith will roar. Master your mind. Master your life. The journey from fear to mastery is not easy, but it is the greatest journey you will ever undertake. Step forward now, with courage as your constant companion and certainty. As your shield. Fear is gone. You are free.